The Congress Working Committee has finally decided to bifurcate the state of Andhra Pradesh into Telangana and a separate state of coastal Andhra and Telangana. We have with us veteran parliamentarian, former minister with NDA government, and also importantly the MP, a member of parliament from Darjeeling. So, considering this decision now, there are statehood demands in other parts of the country also, including the part from the representation where you come from. Indeed. So, how do you see it now? Do you see that it's going to rekindle those demands?
No, it won't weaken the demands, but it will certainly further inflame the demands. Principally because I think the Congress party's decision is persuaded more by electoral considerations rather than for the good of the people either of Andhra or of Telangana. This is a very tricky, and I don't want to use harsh words, but really purely and totally a cynical political move. And I am astonished that they ought to have taken this decision now, on the eve of the elections, knowing very well that there already exist many demands for smaller states, like Vidarbha, Harit Pradesh, Bundelkhand, Gorkhaland, Bodoland. The list is endless. If it was really to be a decision persuaded by national good and to let people have voice, then there ought to have been a different mechanism to do it, not the Congress Working Party.
But you basically questioning the mechanism, but basically BJP over the years has been supporting these states, even Gorkhaland. In the last manifesto, you contested from there, it was mentioned. Even Telangana is something.
No, the BJP has stood for smaller states. It has supported Telangana, and I represent Darjeeling because I clearly and unequivocally, during the campaign and subsequently, said the establishment of Gorkhaland is, I believe, a strategic necessity for India. It's the only district in the country, the Darjeeling district, which has 4 international boundaries. And there's China, there's Bhutan, there's Nepal, and there's Bangladesh. It's not simply that Darjeeling district sits on the chicken's neck. It is actually sitting on the chicken's gullet. And you cannot ignore the strategic reality of taking this into account. I've said this in Parliament. I'm sorry that the situation has developed where Darjeeling has to now agitate for what is a legitimate demand. After all, the formation or the establishment of Gorkhaland Territorial Administration recognizes the need for a Gorkhaland there.
You would probably would have wanted a second state reorganization commission to consider all these demands rather than take a separate decision for Telangana?
I do think so. I think a government that means well and is not impelled only by narrow and limited electoral considerations would have gone into a process of larger consultations. And the way to do that is, and has been earlier, a time-bound commission.
Last question, sir. Division of a state, practically also it's a cumbersome exercise. It's not easy. Now, yesterday we are hearing that Telangana Rashtra Samiti chief saying that all the people, employees from in Telangana, employees from Andhra Pradesh should go back to the state.
Where is going back? What do you mean go back? Don't you understand the enormity of the challenge of separating the GTA in Gorkhaland? After all, the first step was taken. It's a tripartite decision. The central government was there, state government was there. Progressively, it could have gone into being union territory to a statehood. Instead, you short-circuit the whole thing. You announced these are the 10 districts which will constitute Telangana. How do you distribute state records? How do you separate public servants? How do their public servants' career profiles transfer? This is not division of India and Pakistan. This is an amazing sleight of hand that Congress party has engaged in, and it will lead to great discontent. And I'm not sure that they are going to reap any electoral benefits from it either. It's very short-sighted. I'm afraid it's destructive for India.
Sir, moving on to other political issues at this point in time, the upcoming session of Parliament. A lot of bills have been listed by the government. Do you see it as the last session, probably government approaching for going for early elections, or do you see them, probably completing their term?
I don't know the answer. I really don't know the answer to this, because I don't think the Congress itself or the UPA itself knows the answer. Pendency of bills is really government's responsibility. It's a very old adage. Government must have its way and the opposition must have its say. Now, if you follow that, then the government would have had its way and the bills would not have mounted up. It's yet another indication of how pathetic and how abysmally poor the government's management of governance itself is.
Sir, you have been one person who has been keenly associated with the NDA, the alliance running during when Vajpayee ji was the Prime Minister. Increasingly, it appears that NDA is getting isolated, BJP is getting isolated, NDA is shrinking. Does it worry you in the run-up to the elections?
Oh, indeed, of course it worries me. I believe in the philosophy of an integrated approach to the nation's problems. The NDA, I think, was a great success story. After all, for 6 years, Atalji ran a government that won applause, not just within the country, but from outside the country too. I don't want to list all the achievements. That is not your purpose, neither mine. But how can a country as vivid and diverse and 28 states, now 29, or shortly to be 29, how can you shoehorn all these into just one political mold? That is the reality of India today, and we need to come together and to integrate.
Within your party also, the alliance, the contention has been of whether projecting Narendra Modi as a prime ministerial candidate, Nitish Kumar moving out on this issue. How do you think the BJP should approach this election? Should it project Mr. Modi as the prime ministerial candidate?
No, I'd much rather not comment on that. Not because I don't have a view, but because I think the party president has said it's better for us not to comment.
But do you have a view that, there are views that probably old leaders like Mr. Advani should pave way for the younger leaders, have a strong leader at the center. Are you of the view that you must now give a categorical leadership at the center?
I think I don't fully understand what you mean by categorical leadership.
Unresolved leadership issues in the BJP.
There are no unresolved leadership issues. You should see how well the states of the BJP has chief ministers, how well they are functioning. This is admirable because the reality of India is greater federalism. The states are functioning the way they are functioning. I don't want to name the states. Clearly the BJP-run states are doing a superb job. They are functioning because they are fully recognizing the reality of federalism.
One last question, sir. Yes. Do you think BJP should approach these elections with a prime ministerial candidate or leave it to the post-poll arrangement depending on the arithmetic of the next Lok Sabha?
Personally, I am of the view that this whole clamor for announcing a name is a new phenomenon. Advani ji, after earlier announced that our next Prime Minister is going to be Mr. Bajpai. It's not been a fashion after that. If the Congress party is stumbling in doing what it has to do about who is their number one, is because of the reality. You don't know what the country is going to throw up by way of numbers. We are not a presidential system, and the necessity of a parliamentary system is to depend on the numbers that emerge. You want to preempt the parliamentary system or the numbers by advancing a thesis that no, we must have a name. Personally, I don't think that is the right thing to do. We ought to adhere to the parliamentary system. Let us await what happens.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Thank